He is more myself than I am. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. Hello and welcome to another new episode of Happy Reading. I'm your host Sandhya Sharish. Today's novel, Wuthering Heights, written by Emily Brontë, was her first and only published novel and is a classic tale about jealousy, vengefulness, and passion. Emily Brontë died in 1848 at the young age of 30, and she could knew nothing about the success of Wuthering Heights finally accorded. The plot summary is like this. In the late winters of the month of 1801, a man named Lockwood rents an estate house called Thrushcross Grange in the isolated moor country of England. He meets Mr. Heathcliff, the owner of Thrushcross, who is a wealthy man and lives in the old mansion, Wuthering Heights, 4 miles away from Thrushcross. Mr. Lockwood finds the behavior of people residing in the Wuthering Heights strangely awkward. His meeting to Heathcliff turns into a nightmare when the weather becomes rough and the snow begins to drive thickly. Mr. Lockwood, since new to the place, fear of losing his way to home, asks permission for an overnight stay, which is readily denied by Mr. Heathcliff as he never allowed visitors to stay in Wuthering Heights. Finally, after being attacked by Mr. Heathcliff's 2 pets, his servant Miss Zilla shows Mr. Lockwood a room upstairs and tells him not to make any noise as her master never let anybody lodge in that room willingly. Mr. Lockwood finds the room haunted and leaves Wuthering Heights before the dawn. He then reaches Thrushcross Grange and asks Nellie Dean, who works as a servant there, about the history of Wuthering Heights. Nellie consents and Mr. Lockwood writes down his recollection of her tale in his diary. These written collections forms the main part of the novel Wuthering Heights. Nellie remembers her childhood. As a young girl, she works as a servant at Wuthering Heights for the owner of the mansion, Mr. Earnshaw, and his family. One day, Mr. Earnshaw goes to Liverpool and returns home too late with an orphan boy whom he decides to raise with his own children. At first, the Earnshaw children, a boy named Hindley and his younger sister Catherine, dislike the orphan Heathcliff. As the time passes, Catherine becomes fond of Heathcliff and the two soon grows inseparable, spending their days playing on the moors. After Mr. Earnshaw's wife expires, he grows to prefer Heathcliff more over his own son Hindley. Hindley, being jealous of Heathcliff, tortures him in all ways he could. Mr. Earnshaw, getting aware of Hindley's behavior towards Heathcliff, sends him to faraway college, keeping Heathcliff and Catherine with himself. 3 years later, Mr. Earnshaw dies and Hindley inherits Wuthering Heights. Hindley returns with a wife, Frances, and seeks revenge on Heathcliff. Once an orphan, later a pampered and favoured son, Heathcliff now finds himself treated as other labourers. Hindley forces him to work in the fields whole day. Heathcliff is silent most of the time without complaining, but his relationship with Catherine grows closer, however. One night, Heathcliff and Catherine wander to Thrushcross Grange, hoping to tease Edgar Linton and Isabella Linton, the cowardly, snobbish children who live there. While Heathcliff and Catherine were teasing and laughing, their laughter is overheard by Mr. and Mrs. Linton. They shoot like arrows to the door. Heathcliff holds Catherine, and while running back, Catherine falls down and is bitten by Linton's dog. Mrs. Linton then forces Catherine to stay at the Thrushcross to recuperate for 5 weeks, during which time Mrs. Linton works to make Catherine a proper young lady. By the time Catherine returns, she has become infatuated with Edgar and her relation with Heathcliff becomes more complicated. One day, Edgar proposes Catherine, for which she gives a positive reply and tells about this to Nellie, her servant, which is overheard by Heathcliff. Heathcliff runs away from Wuthering Heights and Catherine falls ill. Hindley's wife Frances dies after giving birth to a baby boy who is named Hareton. Hindley, being very much fond of his wife, could not bear the loss and as a result descends into the depth of alcoholism and behaves more rudely. Catherine's desire for social advancement prompts her to marry Edgar Linton despite of her overpowering love for Heathcliff. Edgar and Catherine becomes perfect pair. Hindley sends Nellie with Catherine after her marriage to Thrushcross. Nellie, who was taking care of Hareton till then, is grieved of getting separated from the little one. After 3 years of Edgar and Catherine's marriage, Heathcliff returns to take revenge from all those who have wronged him. He is by then a mysteriously wealthy man and starts living with drunken Hindley in Wuthering Heights. He pays his sudden visit to Catherine in Thrushcross. His comeback is warmly greeted by Catherine, but Edgar did not like it, though he never tells the same to Catherine. For her sake, Heathcliff is permitted to Thrushcross. Heathcliff's visit becomes more frequent in the absence of Edgar Linton, which is conveyed to Edgar by Nellie D. Edgar, being not able to take it more, asks Catherine if she would like to be with him or Heathcliff. Catherine gives him no reply and falls severely ill. End of part 1.